Alright, so we're going to move on to our last shape for the volume section of this chapter, and it's going to be a cone. So again, when you think of the word cone, I want you to think of an ice cream cone, because that really is a great representation. So the steps to finding the volume of a cone is to make sure that we have the radius. If they give us the diameter, we just divide it by 2. And then from there, we're going to label the sides, the height, the radius, and the slant height, and then write up the formula. Now, just as a reminder, the slant height is the slant piece of the cone. And the height is going from the very middle down to the very tip. Alright, so I would like you to now pause the video and add one more line to your volume formula sheet for the cone. So go ahead and do that now. Alright, so let's just try a practice question. So of course the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out if we have the radius or the diameter. Now our line goes to the middle of the circle, so that means we have our radius. Which is 12 feet. And our height is right here. And if you'd like to list the slant height, you may do that as well. But be very careful not to get the two confused. Alright, so at this point we're just going to fill in our formula. So it's pi times the radius times the radius times the height divided by 3. So I'd like you to go get your calculator and figure that out. Okay, so you should have got 3,619.114, and that's going to be feet cubed because we're working with volume. Let's go to our next one. So I'd like you to start off by finding out the radius and listing the height and the slant height. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so in this one, they actually give us the diameter because it goes across the whole circle. So we go 1284 divided by 2, which is 12. And that's going to be 12 inches. Then for our height, we can see that it's straight up and down, 24 inches. And the slant height is listed below. Alright, so now we're ready for our formula, and I would like you to fill in the formula and figure out the final answer. So go ahead and pause the video and do that now. All right, so we're going to have pi times 12 times 12 times 24 divided by 3. And when we punch that into our calculator, we get 3,619.114 inches cubed. Okay, let's move on to our last one. So again, I'd like you to start off by pausing the video and figuring out what our radius, our slant height, and our height are. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so because this line here only goes to the halfway point, or the midpoint in the circle, our radius is 10 meters. Our height is 20 meters. And our slant height is 22.4 meters. So at this point, I'd like you to fill out your formula and figure out the rest of the question. All right, so we should have our pi times 10 times 10 times 20 divided by 3. So when we put that into our calculator, it results in 2,094.395. And the units are meters cubed. All right, so now you're able to move on to chapter 4.4 homework, questions 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you're able to move on to the chapter 4 quiz.